Can my wife really make my grandmother's chicken delicious?
Hello friends, this is Angela from Art of Creation Homestead. You're in the kitchen with me again, and today we are doing something very special. We are doing Jason's grandmother's chicken delicious. And it lives up to its name. I'll put it that way. It is absolutely delicious. But this is going to be my little twist on it. As you guys know, I can't follow a recipe exact. I always have to add a little bit of me. So, before I get started with this, let me tell you a little bit about this amazing lady. This is Jason's grandmother, Wanda. When I met Wanda, both of my grandmothers had passed on. I never met one of them. She died before I was born. And my mom's mom, she died when I was in 8th grade. And I miss her greatly. Who she raised my mom to be helped shape who I am today. And a lot of the things that I know how to do are because of her. And my grandma was an amazing lady. So when I met Jason's grandma, Wanda, this lovely lady kind of filled that void that was in me. She always called me her girl. And I never saw her any time that she didn't give me a big hug and say, "There's my girl." When she called to talk to Jason, she couldn't hang up without talking to me first. And she was that type of sweet, godly lady that never has a bad word to say about anybody. She was such a remarkable lady. So when my mother-in-law asked me if I wanted her old cookbooks, of course I jumped at the chance. Because for those of you who don't know, I am an avid cookbook collector. Which does not mean that the recipes that you make of mine are from my cookbooks that I collect. Because they are not. Every recipe that you see me make on our channel is all my recipes. Well, I didn't know what to expect from these cookbooks right here. This one and another one. I thought they were just going to be average church cookbooks or community cookbooks. But when I started looking through them, I saw all of these recipes written in the margins and taped in the margins in her own handwriting. She was a very organized lady. And she even went to the index and wrote her recipe name and the page number in the index. That way she could easily find them. And I'll be honest, I don't care about any of the recipes in this book except for hers, because she was an amazing cook. And I'm learning that the more of her recipes that I make. But on the back cover of this one, I found this recipe called Chicken Delicious. And I had to try it. And boy, does it live up to its name. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to make Wanda's Chicken Delicious. So first, what you need to do, you need to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Then you need to get a 13x9 baking dish. I'm using glass or stoneware is probably the best. Metal, not so much works for this. And you want to spray it with some cooking spray. For the next step, you will need 1 can of cream of chicken soup and 1 can of cream of celery soup. Or if you don't like cream of celery soup, you can do 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. But as you can see, this is in a sauce pot. I made the cream soups myself. They are so much better if you make them yourself, but that is for a different video. And so much easier and cheaper. To those 2 cans of soup, you want to add 1 cup and 1/4 of milk. This is to make your sauce. You want to whisk those things together. Be careful not to spill them all over your counter like I just did. So be very careful when you mix it in. And from there, Wanda's recipe calls for a chopped onion, a small chopped onion. I am not a big fan of crunchy onion bits in things, and a lot of times with things like this, the onion has a tendency to stay crunchy. So I am going to add just a little sprinkle of onion powder. It's about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon, depending on how much you like onion. And you will also want to add just a tiny bit of salt and pepper. Not much, especially if you're doing the canned soups rather than homemade, because they are pretty salty. So I'm just adding just a little pinch of salt, a little pinch of pepper, but salt and pepper to taste, we'll say. Now, once that sauce mixture is mixed up, we are going to pour it into our 13 by 9. Now, we have 2 very large chicken breasts. You can do 3 smaller ones or 2 large ones. That I've just cooked them in the Instant Pot, and I saved my broth because you'll need that later. And I just seasoned them, cooked them simply in the Instant Pot. You can cook them however you like to cook them. And then I just shredded them up, all nice and shreddy. Is shreddy a word? It is now, because I'm using it as a word. So now you want to take your shredded chicken and you want to put it all over top of your nice creamy sauce. Make sure you get it out to all the corners and make sure you give everybody some chicken love. Now it goes into my little additions. You guys know how me and Jason love our veggies. I mean, we grow a lot of veggies. Now, for those of you who don't like veggies, you know who you are. You don't have to do this part. You can just stick with just the basic recipe. But if you're like me and you love veggies, come on over to the stove with me. Okay, in this skillet, we have 1 tablespoon of salted butter, and we are sauteing a cup of diced carrots. These are those beautiful carrots you watched us harvest. If you didn't watch us harvest it, you need to go check out that video. And I'm gonna give them a little season of salt and pepper. And you want to cook these, you want to saute these up in the butter till they're nice and tender. Should only take a few minutes, especially in these being so fresh. It should only take just a few minutes, and then I'll show you what we do next. Now to these beautiful carrots that are all sauteed up in some butter, we're gonna add about a cup of frozen peas. And you're just gonna saute those in with your carrots. You'll probably wanna add just a little bit more salt and pepper because they don't come out of the bag seasoned. And don't throw them all over the stove like I just did. I'm a mess maker sometimes. They say the messy cooks are the good ones, so I hope I'm dang good because I sure do make some messes sometimes. So, add in some salt, add in some pepper. That's to taste, by the way. And you want to saute these until your peas are completely thawed. They don't have to be mush. You don't have to cook them till they're mush, just until they're unthawed, which shouldn't take long. This is a very hot pan, so this shouldn't take long for them to get all nice and sauteed, and all nice and thawed, I should say. These veggies are just going to add another dimension to this. Our peas are all thawed out. Now I'll take you over here and show you what we do next. Now all you do is you simply take your peas and carrots, if you are doing this step, and you just sprinkle them all over the top of your chicken. And don't throw the veggies in the floor or all over the countertop like I just did. So you want to put in your veggies. Just spread them evenly over the top. Now you want to make sure that you spread that veggie love around everywhere. Make sure you have everything spread out everywhere. That way you get a bite of love in everything. Now we are going to take a 10-ounce bag of herb stuffing mix. Not the box stuff, you want the bag of the herb stuffing mix that looks like this. It's the bag stuff. And you want to sprinkle that all over the top of your chicken and your veggies and your creamy sauce. This is perfect to take to a potluck or an office party or a church dinner. They will love this at a church dinner. Now, you want to spread that beautiful stuffing out to all the corners. You don't want to miss any corners with this because it's going to be some goodness right there. So now, let me show you what we do next. And it involves that leftover broth from where you cooked your chicken. In this pot, we have 1 3/4 cups of the chicken broth that was saved from where we cooked our chicken. If you don't have any chicken broth from where you cooked your chicken, then you can use 1 3/4 cups of just regular canned chicken broth. We have 1 stick of butter. You know, everything's better if it has a stick of butter in it. And we have 2 bouillon cubes. 2 chicken bouillon cubes. Now, I do not use bouillon cubes. I use organic, low sodium, better than bouillon. So it's like a paste. If you don't know what that is, it's like a paste. And I put in 2 teaspoons of the better than bouillon. Now you want to let this cook. Just bring it basically to a low boil, just enough that the butter melts, and then I'll show you what we do with it. Now, as you can see, the butter is all melted and it's all liquid now. So now we're going to just pour all this liquid over our casserole. Just pour it slowly and make sure you get all of the stuffing. Don't pour it on the countertop like I just did. But I told you, I'm a mess maker. So just make sure you cover all the stuffing with this. I know it seems like a lot of liquid, but it's not going to make your casserole watery because the stuffing mix is going to absorb all of it. It's going to take it all in and make it wonderful. So now you just pop this into a 350-degree oven until it's all nice and bubbly around the edges. That should take about 30 to 35 minutes. It's out of the oven and all bubbly. It baked for about 35 minutes. And now it's very important, you need to let this sit and cool. Otherwise you are going to burn your pie hole. So you need to let this cool for just a few minutes. Then we'll be back and let Jason taste it.
All right, y'all. Let's see what the verdict is. Can my wife really make my grandmother's chicken delicious? I already know the answer to that, by the way. So there's a beautiful bite right there. Now, be careful, because if you were to take a bite right now, it might smart a second, okay? You wouldn't really taste the flavor. You just come out with a blistered mouth. All right. So after about 10 seconds of blowing on it real good, let's see what happens. Yep. There it is. So, absolutely delicious chicken casserole recipe type thing. It's chicken delicious. Not like any other chicken casserole I've ever ate. And adding the vegetables to it, Angela did, honestly just helps it out. Slide some veggies in there. And if you don't like vegetables, you can eat that. Because it's gonna taste like a beautiful chicken casserole with some veggies in it. It really helps it out. So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate every single one of you guys. My name is Jason. That was Angela Kay. This is our Creation Homestead. We love you guys. God bless you and goodbye.